The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
And hello, welcome to Open, the one and only show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm your host, Daren Jaime, and today we're going to update you on what's happening in and around our borough. Coming up, we'll give you the latest in the world of politics. And then after that, if you pay rent in the Bronx, it's important to know your rights and what's affecting low-income tenants. And if you're interested in earning your MBA, we're going to tell you about a program that will take your career to the next level in just 1 year. And then later on, after becoming the Deputy Bronx Borough President, we will have the Deputy BP here in the studio with us, talking about her first year of servicing our borough. We want you to stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way. Stay tuned right now. We are officially open. And hello, everyone. I'm Daren Jaime, and today is Wednesday, December 5th. Of course, you're watching Open, a live program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is now being broadcast live simultaneously on MNN's channel. Now, you can stay connected to us, and you can do that by Twitter at BronxNet and Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. Well, a lot has certainly been going on throughout the past week, and we take you through it right now with some Bronx updates. Well, funeral services are being held for George H.W. Bush, the 41st President of the United States, whose long life in public sphere was defined by service to his country. He was 94. His wife of 73 years, Barbara Bush, died in April, and Mr. Bush was hospitalized the day after the funeral to be treated for an infection in his bloodstream. Now, the president suffered from a number of health issues in his later years, including vascular Parkinsonism. Now, the New England native also leaves behind 5 living children: George W., Jeb, Neil, Marvin, and Dorothy, 17 grandchildren, and 8 great-grandchildren. Well, New York City has become the first in the U.S. to set a minimum wage for app-based car services. The city's Taxi and Limousine Commission voted Tuesday to establish a per-minute and per-mile payment formula for Uber and Lyft drivers. Now, the new measure could allow drivers to earn approximately $17 an hour. And regulators say it'll raise the driver's annual earnings by about $10,000 a year. The city's minimum wage is set to increase to $15 an hour at the end of this year. The equivalent wage for drivers who are considered independent contractors and to have to cover their own expenses is $17.22. In other news, police said that this month was the safest, in November, in the modern NYPD history. It ended last week with a 5% overall decrease in crime compared with November of 2017. Police said the drop was spurred by a 15.8% drop in burglaries and an 11.8% plunge in robberies. Murders dropped to last month 15 from 20 a year earlier. The NYPD also reported the first November of the same span with less than 1,000 reported burglaries. So good news for here, the borough of the Bronx. That's all for our Bronx updates. We want you to stay with us because we do have more shows, so stay with us. We're coming right back right after this.
I guess sometimes things just happen. Devastating things. Your whole world changes in an instant. That's what happened to me the day my mother had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke fast.
For all the papas out there, let's stop what we're doing and take a moment. A moment to be with our kids. They can be loud moments, goofy moments, sporty moments, dorky moments, kooky moments. Moments where we talk or walk or just hang out. It doesn't really matter. They all count because every time dads take a moment to be with their kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's all take a moment to make a moment today.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Chiru has no choice. She and millions like her walk miles a day for dirty water. But together, we can end their walk by providing clean water close by. Instead of spending hours walking to get water that makes them sick, girls can be in a classroom and moms will gain back time to care for their families. Sons and daughters can grow up strong, finally free of sicknesses. It's true. When you just add water, you change a life. Learn more at worldvision.org.
Why don't you ever see elephants hiding in trees? Because they're really good at it. Yeah, I get it.
And we're back here on Open. And joining us now in studio is Marricka Scott-Mcfadden, the Deputy Bronx Borough President. We welcome her to the show. She's about 1 year into office, and we're going to talk about that 1 year and what it's been like. And Deputy Borough President, good to have you.
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
Good. So, as we said, almost 1 year, right?
Yeah.
How's it been?
It's been awesome. It has been a completely different experience than I could have ever expected. I love it. I get to be one of the biggest cheerleaders for the Bronx, and I'm excited to continue.
Yeah. For people who don't know, what is the exact job of the Deputy Borough President?
I think the reason why people don't know what the job is, it varies in different boroughs. There's different responsibilities. But I look at my role, especially the history of the Bronx, as really celebrating the Bronx and bringing the information of the Renaissance of the Bronx to the community in the Bronx and as well as the rest of the city. So I'm happy to just go out and represent and let everybody know, the great things that are happening here in the Bronx.
Yeah, so January makes a year.
Yes.
Has the year gone by fast?
Oh, OMG, yes. Right. It has been a whirlwind, mainly because it's learning a lot of new things, a lot of new processes, and again, I promised myself that I would say yes to everything this year, and I did. Yeah. Maybe I should have thought about that.
Yeah. Year two.
Year two.
Right. So when we talk about the Deputy Borough President attending a lot of things, now I know, here in Bronx that we broadcast a few things, borough meetings, cabinet meetings, board meetings. Talk to us about that and the importance of having the public involved in knowing what's going on, particularly in government.
Wow, I just think it's a blessing to have BronxNet do all of this and put all of these meetings on make them available for Bronxites and everyone to see, because it's really the Borough Service Cabinet meeting, which I chair, and also the Borough Board meetings, which I chair, are meetings that bring information to the community. The board themselves consists of the district managers from the community boards as well as chairs. So we are presenting information to the community board leadership, and we're also making it available for everyone out there to just tune into BronxNet and get everything they need to know.
Are you satisfied with the way the borough is moving in terms of, we've got employment as a huge issue, right? Unemployment is a huge issue. Homelessness is a big issue. But I know that it's one of those issues that gets tackled a lot in these meetings. But from your perspective, talk about progress.
Well, we're not perfect. The borough president himself says that a lot. He reminds us that we're not perfect, but we're moving and making great strides. So one of the things in terms of being satisfied, I think we can never be satisfied. I think it was Prince that said, the Prince song that said that,
Right.
never be satisfied. But in terms of being satisfied, we're going to keep striving. We do have record low unemployment rates here in the borough, really significantly down. Crime is down in the borough, almost at levels of 1950s levels when crime was at its lowest. And we've seen a real resurgence in investment into the borough, with affordable housing, with all types of building, all types of businesses. So the Bronx, it's no longer burning, it's building, it's growing, and we're really excited about that.
Building and booming. As we're on the cusp of 2019, obviously a lot of things on the table. Talk to us for what we can expect coming up in the new year.
Wow. For me, I think I'm going to take a break.
Right.
A little bit of a break and sort of reassess. That's one of the things that I really enjoy doing is reassessing the year of 2018, seeing what I can do to move forward in 2019. One of my particular issues is, and for this, not just the borough and not just the city, but the whole country, is the census. So knowing that, getting a correct count for our borough is so important, and making sure that we take partner with the right civic groups and the community to make sure that we are counted is so important. So we're running very closely up into the census, and I want to be an active partner and making sure that the Bronx gets counted.
And I know you work very closely with the borough president. Talk to us about some of the work that you guys are doing hand in hand.
Well, in terms of Batman and Robin, I guess I would I'd be the Robin. But we again continue to strive in terms of bringing down unemployment, inspiring investment into the borough, making sure that there are folks that see the borough as coming of age, and it's a great place to invest and create jobs.
2019 is an exciting year. I think we're looking for our borough to really continue to boom and continue to rise. I know you've been out on the street for a whole year. You're going to take it easy. But talk to us about what have you heard from residents of the Bronx in terms of their thoughts and the feedback that you've gotten, because you spent a lot of boots on the ground.
Right. It varies. I think when I run into people at events, they really, some of them have come to me and they've said, wow, we're really excited to see someone that looks like you, someone that in the position, someone who is really coming out and being vocal about different issues. And I, like I said, I say yes to everything. So when I get an invitation, I definitely reach out and make sure that I'm visible up there. And I think people enjoy that about me in this position.
What event can we say that you're the most passionate about? Or what thing do you think that you're the most passionate about when it comes to the Bronx and advocating for residents of our borough?
Well, I know that one of the things that I am very, very passionate about is women's issues, not just about equality, but also the issue of mortality in terms of Black and brown women during childbirth. So this is something that, infant mortality and also maternal mortality and it's something that needs a lot of attention because it crosses spectrums. And we're, obviously there are other entities that are trying to figure out why is this such a prevalent issue in women of color. So, that's one of the things that I'm also interested in advocating for, finding out those answers.
And when we talk about the Bronx, obviously a lot of people, they come to our borough, they're surprised by what they find and they're surprised by what they see. Out of everything that you see, what's the thing that most surprises you about our borough?
Well, I grew up in the Bronx. I won't say my age, but it's been a while.
A few years.
A few years.
That's a good answer, right?
And so I think I'm almost at the point that nothing surprised me about the Bronx. But I think it is important to see people who are not from the borough or even not from the city may think some of our habits are a little strange. But, I think it's important to understand that, this is who we are. Love us.
Right, a diverse group of people.
Yeah.
Marricka Scott-Mcfadden, Deputy Borough President of the Borough of the Bronx. Well, thank you for coming and sharing.
Thank you for inviting me.
Come on back again.
Uh-oh.
You got plenty of time in 2019 because you already said you'll be taking some time off.
Just a little bit.
So a little bit of that time, just come back over here.
Okay.
There it is, done deal. Good to have you. All right, taking a quick break. We're going to have more open, so stay with us. We're coming right back. Right after this, we'll be right back.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
For all the papas out there, let's stop what we're doing and take a moment. A moment to be with our kids. They can be loud moments, goofy moments, sporty moments, dorky moments, kooky moments. Moments where we talk or walk or just hang out. It doesn't really matter. They all count because every time dads take a moment to be with their kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's all take a moment to make a moment today.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
Open up your books to page 360.
Did you just look at your phone while you was in class? You played yourself.
Talking about inspirational quotes.
You gotta believe in yourself. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Louise, can you give me an example of an inspirational quote?
Don't play yourself. The key is to make it.
And who said that?
I did. Now that's a major key alert.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at getschool.com.
Well, thank you for staying with us. I want you to know the average rent for an apartment in the Bronx, about $2,000. A 28% increase compared to the previous year when the average rent was about $1,700. Now, paying for rent has become a hassle for some families. There's a need for the strengthening of rent stabilization laws that protect and prioritize low-income tenants. Now, here in studio to discuss more about this is Assemblywoman Carmen de la Rosa from the 72nd State Assembly District, and good to have you, Assemblywoman.
Thank you for inviting me.
Good. So we talk about this whole issue. I mean, first of all, just to say in New York, $2,000 a month to pay rent is astronomical.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And so you got tenants who are really trying to struggle and then at the same time also maintain their rights. So let's talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's not only about the price of rent, but it's also the conditions in which tenants are subjected to live. These tenants, most of them are not living in dignity. They're living in apartments that have many violations from the city, and landlords are really neglecting our communities, and they're neglecting them for a reason, because the displacement in our community is paying dividends to their business. And so 2019 is going to be a major year in New York State where we're going to be taking up the rent regulation laws. And we've done this in the past. The difference this year is that we have both a Democratic Assembly and a Democratic State Senate. So we're hoping this is the year that we get important legislation that's going to protect tenants passed in both houses of the legislature.
Now, specifically, what could we be looking for to see coming out of the House and the Senate?
Sure. So we have a number of bills that close loopholes. One of them is the rent regulations in New York State determine if apartments are regulated under the law. And so there is one law that is about vacancy decontrol. And what that means is that if an apartment is vacated and a new family is coming in, before the new family comes in, the landlord is basically given a bonus in order to renovate the apartment. That shoots the rents up, and once the rents hit $2,700, they no longer fall under regulation. So they're no longer subject to the percentage hikes that the city determines. And so that is causing landlords to sort of inflate and quickly displace people so that they can get that bonus. We're trying to change that loophole. The other legislation that we can see coming out of Albany is going to be around MCIs, which is major capital improvements. If a landlord fixes a boiler, they charge $6, for example, per room, per apartment to each tenant in perpetuity, forever and ever. Even though the fix is maybe $100,000, the tenants have to pay for it for the rest of their lives. This is inflating the cost of rent. And in addition to that, we're also seeing this move and this push to get universal rent control. And what that means is that, you know, units who have been deregulated will come back into regulation, not only here in the city, but also in upstate New York. And that happens through the Tenant Protection Act and making sure that a housing emergency is called in our state. So there's a lot of innovative things that are happening in New York State. Some of these laws we've passed in the Assembly. We're hoping that this is the year that we get them passed in the Senate. They're really laws that we're looking to protect tenants and empower them. So they have the tools to go to court and say the law is on our side.
We're going to take a look at some graphics and take a look, revisit some of these numbers as you get ready to see it on your screen. So that we take an opportunity to see what it is, harassment by tenants or landlords, and what this actually means. Because many times people feel as though they are being harassed, and you don't know when you're being harassed. But I want to look at what it actually is to be harassed as a tenant by a landlord or an owner. Now, number one is the not offering of leases or renewals or trying to pay you to move out. Number two, unjustified eviction notices or illegal lockouts. And three, threats and intimidation. I'll stop at number three. We'll come back to 4, 5, and 6 in a minute. But talk to us about 1 through 3.
Yeah.
As an Assemblywoman, you hear this a lot.
Oh, absolutely. I just visited tenants last week in 2 buildings that are next to each other. They're owned by the same landlord. And both buildings have not had gas for over a year. No gas. What does that mean for a working class family? It means you cannot cook in your home. It means you have to buy food outside. It means that sometimes the heat and hot water is not stable. So imagine having a child where the heat in the apartment in these frigid temperatures is not sufficient. So they're basically harassing these tenants by neglecting them. And what happens? We're seeing that in our communities, in my district, we're seeing a mass exodus of people who are native to our communities. When we talk about gentrification and we talk about displacement, these are the symptoms that drive that displacement in our communities. And so these are things that we have to address through law. The city council has done some stuff around the buyouts. So if you're offering someone who's working class $20,000 cash for their apartment, anyone would take that. The problem is, once they take that money, they give up their rights to the apartment. And in New York City, where are you going to find an apartment for $20,000?
Right, let me go to 4, 5, and 6. Come on, take you back to this 4, 5, and 6 if you can, and that way we can go over what 4, 5, and 6 are, and it's coming up on the screen. Overcharging for a rent-regulated apartment, failure to provide necessary repairs or utilities, and deliberately causing construction-related problems for tenants.
Yes. So I want to talk about number 4. Senator Brian Benjamin of Harlem and myself are the co-sponsors, the main sponsors of a bill that actually opens the window to looking back. So if a landlord is overcharging you, what ends up happening is they take you to court for an overcharge. And they're basically saying, you owe me $10,000, $3,000, and you have to pay it in order to not be evicted. We are changing the law so that the look-back period for the state, which is now 4 years, is increased to 6 years, so that you can go back and get your rent history for 6 years and literally go line by line and dispute the landlord when they say that you owe them rent. Because this is a tactic that is used in order to tie people up. Sometimes people pay their rent with money orders. They don't got all the receipts. They know you don't have the receipts, and so they try to take you to court to see if they have a way to get you out. The other issues, like repairs, we see that, campaign season, you knock on doors. You go in, you see, when apartments have been renovated, you see the exposed brick wall, the nice floors, and then you go next door and you knock on a door, and there's mold, and there's holes, and there's rats and roaches, and you know what are the differences between those two tenants and the neglect that is happening purposely in these buildings.
And so when we talk about this, obviously this is going before Albany. That's going to be addressed, and you guys are getting ready to go to Albany in January. How quickly do you think that this will get on the table and get dealt with?
Honestly, this is a #1 priority for me and for many of the legislators, not only in New York City, but also in upstate New York. And so I know that this is something that both majority conferences are going to take a good look at and are going to make at the top priorities. One of the things that we've been talking about is the real estate interests and their influence in politics. We've heard it through the campaign season when people say real estate money. So one of the things that we're going to be looking at also is ensuring that tenants' rights are also made a priority. That it's not just about the real estate industry that is fueling campaigns, but also tenants' rights and the right for people to stay in their homes. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm on the housing committee, and I'm looking forward to being a voice for my community.
So for people out there who are tenants right now and they're really going through some tenant-landlord issues, what is your advice and who should they be contacting?
First of all, legal services for all New Yorkers who are facing eviction is free of charge. The City Council passed that law, the right to counsel law. Also, so you can go to your local elected official's office and get a referral to any number of legal services that will provide that service for free, but also get involved. There's a lot of grassroots groups that have formed in our communities in order to go to Albany and make sure that your stories are told and that people know what you're going through so the laws can finally change.
Before we get out of here, obviously I want to wish you a happy New Year as we get ready to go to the holidays.
Happy holidays.
In advance. I know it's only a couple of weeks away, but as we talk about January being around the corner, talk about your assembly district real quick. What are some of the things that you're expecting to have happen in 2019?
Absolutely. So I represent the 72nd Assembly District. And for me, one of the issues that is so important to me is NYCHA housing. Again, going back to the housing issue, but I have 2 developments in my district, Dykeman houses and Marble Hill houses, which is actually in the Bronx. And, they've been having a lot of trouble as far as heat and hot water, and we've seen the extent of that through the media play out, but also lead issues. There's a lot of families that are living in NYCHA, so making that a priority, the fixes to NYCHA is so important. The other issue is the transit system. I sit on the Corporations and Authorities Committee, which oversees the MTA, and I want to make sure that even in communities where there are transit options, that those transit options are of quality. So going back to Albany and trying to find fixes, looking at congestion pricing and how that will help to fund funding source for fixing the MTA is something that's a priority for us.
All right, Assemblywoman Carmen de la Rosa, Assemblywoman from the 72nd Assembly District. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us.
My pleasure.
All righty. Listen, got to take a quick break. We do have more shows, so don't go anywhere. Coming right back right after this.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Well, Thomas, you've got prediabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I bought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
I guess sometimes things just happen. Devastating things. Your whole world changes in an instant. That's what happened to me the day my mother had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke fast.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund reading.
No.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Why don't you ever see elephants hiding in trees? Because they're really good at it. Yeah, I get it.
Well, staying on the local front, the bail reform hearing by the New York City Council this past weekend revealed that the correctional department was not following the law and that its systems are antiquated. We're going to discuss this and more with Michael Benjamin, who's the associate editorial page editor of the NYpost. And as always, Mike, good to have you.
I'm well. Good morning.
Good morning. Before we get to talking about the bail reform, I do want to get your comments. President George H.W. Bush dying at the age of 94. Talk to us about President Bush's legacy and the legacy that he leaves behind.
Oh no, Daren, your call, I couldn't hear it at all, what you said.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me try again. I said that we're talking about the death of President Bush and the legacy that he leaves behind at the age of 94.
I think George H.W. Bush leaves a great legacy for America. I mean, I have always believed he's one of the most qualified men to serve as President of the United States. You know, having been, a combat veteran, Texas oil man, member of Congress, a U.S. ambassador, an envoy to China, CIA director, vice president of the United States, and then president. I mean, what more could you want from a man giving service to his country and having, despite whatever we may have with him as a Republican, recognizing his family or the need to serve the nation politically. And I think he did that greatly. And I think many Americans can learn from that, especially his character. And that's something that throughout the memorials regarding George H.W. Bush, everyone talks about his and more than his politics.
I think one of the more gripping images was that video of watching former U.S. Senator Bob Dole actually stand up and salute the casket of President Bush. What does that say to you in terms of course, his long-standing character that many people have never questioned, but you may disagree with his political policies, but overall, as a man, I think it was somebody that we all look back. This is the guy who was, skydiving as a senior citizen.
Yes. Again, all about his character and love of country, and others, such as former Senator Bob Dole, saw in him a fellow combat veteran who, nearly gave his life and limb for his nation, then comes back to raise a family. Yes, he was a wealthy man, but he used his wealth to benefit Americans and to use his knowledge and his worldliness to be helpful. And everybody that's spoken about him has talked about what a wonderful man, warm man that he was. And, we forget he was president during the fall of the Soviet Union. He was president in helping to guide the reunification of the two Germanys. I mean, many young people had no idea that at one time you had an East and a West Germany, who were at odds with each other. And now they're one country that's an economic giant in Europe, and it's remaining a valuable American ally.
Yeah. Let me go a little bit closer to home, and let's bring things closer to home as I start off talking about the bail reform hearing held by the City Council, deeming that the New York Corrections Department not following the laws. Let's break this down. What exactly does this mean, and where are we right now?
Years ago, the City Council passed legislation to make bail easier for New Yorkers to achieve and requiring the Department of Corrections to help facilitate that. And in the years since legislation was passed, the City Department of Corrections has been dragging its feet in making it easier for New Yorkers to be bailed out. There's supposed to be ATM terminals in courthouses. Persons were given no more than 3 hours after bail is posted for them to be released. And the Bronx Bail Freedom Fund, a bail fund set up by the Bronx defenders to help low-level offenders, make their bail and get out of jail so they can be with their lawyers and their families to mount a good defense. And the Corrections Department has put up a number of roadblocks. Some of them are institutional, including the fact their technology is outdated. I mean, the Department of Corrections still uses fax machines to send documents to and from various locations, courthouses and the city jails. And they also have these high fees for posting bail with the companies that they've been using. And so the council hearing was able to detail all of that and to get a commitment from the city and Department of Corrections to move towards finally implementing every aspect of a law that the city council passed.
And so where do we see this going from here?
Well, what we need to see, and I think what we're going to see next year, is in Albany. You need the state legislature and the governor to enact legislation which would end cash bail and make the bailing procedures much easier, and even look at maybe expanding the ability for charity bail organizations to be able to be set up to help many more offenders to make their bail and to be able to have counsel with their attorneys and be able to return to court for their court dates and to mount a proper defense. One of the things that we don't talk about here in New York, particularly in the Bronx, is how long it takes for individuals who've been incarcerated, who've been jailed, to go to trial. And if you can't make bail and you're stuck in Rikers, your attorney can't see you as often as he or she would like. And I think that affects one's ability to defend oneself in court.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some other things. What do you have on your lens and coming up on the horizon that you're paying particular attention to around here?
Well, one of the things that struck me last week was a recent New York State Court of Appeals ruling which said that non-citizen New Yorkers were entitled to jury trials for all potentially deportable offenses. In the particular case, there was one undocumented immigrant who had assaulted his wife, his common law wife, and their children, and he was being held on misdemeanor charges, and he was charged with misdemeanors, and he was going to trial. He went to trial. and usually in New York State, when you are a misdemeanor offenses, you don't get a jury trial. Usually it's a bench trial by a judge. And that's been upheld by the Supreme Court for decades now. In this case, because this man was an undocumented immigrant, he had a visa violation. Upon conviction for a misdemeanor, he was risking deportation. And so his lawyer petitioned the court for a trial by jury. The judge denied it. The man was later convicted, and his lawyers then appealed to the appellate court. The appellate court upheld his conviction, and saying he did not qualify for a jury trial. It went all the way to the State Court of Appeals, which found on a 5-2 decision that because of the potential threat of a federal deportation, which is a much larger penalty than 90 days in jail for a misdemeanor, the judges ruled that the defendant and other non-citizens are deserving of a jury trial because the outcome could be a much greater penalty. And in essence, the NYpost we had an editorial saying that the Court of Appeals was extending Sixth Amendment rights to non-citizens that normal, regular citizens in New York State don't have, which is a right to a jury trial when you are charged with misdemeanor offenses. Bronx DA Clark said she was looking at the possibility of appealing the Court of Appeals decision to the U.S. Supreme Court. And in our editorial, we encouraged her to do so.
Yeah, I was going to ask the question about how realistic is that? I mean, given the facts of the case, it certainly is worth possibly the appeals process.
It's an important case for the case law to finally be settled because there appear to be conflicting precedents. One precedent, Supreme Court has ruled for states that states can limit the right to jury trial to just felony trials, where you can have a severe penalty. Other cases, there have been, the states recently in the D.C. Circuit Court said that non-citizens had Sixth Amendment rights to jury trial, even for misdemeanor offenses. And I think the U.S. Supreme Court is a proper referee to determine the facts of the cases and what ought to be the law when it comes to non-citizens who commit state offenses that are misdemeanors, but it's because of the way federal laws are written. If you're a non-citizen and you're convicted of a misdemeanor offense, you may be subject to deportation. In our view, the Court of Appeals made up law, was activist, and extended rights to non-citizens that the court had no business doing.
All right, Mike. Well, we'll continue to follow that and then some, but we thank you for joining us here. Mike Benjamin, our guest here on Open. Thanks for joining us, Mike. All right. Same. Happy holidays to you, too, if we don't talk. All right, listen, take a quick break. We will be back with more Open. Stay with us. We're coming back in a few.
I'm only 17, but I know about investing. Believe in something, buy shares in it, watch it grow. So, what if you could invest in the future? The future of kids, like a stock. Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. I could be one of the first college graduates from my family, the first philanthropist from my neighborhood. And if I'm the first, then maybe there's a second and a third. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow. My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
$150 over 90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure looks like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from invisible or silent. If you've come off your treatment plan, get back on it, or talk with your doctor to create an exercise, diet, and medication plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
If I would have followed a treatment plan, I would not be in this situation.
Maybe you can make retirement happen.
After all, you made this vacation happen.
Double points with every purchase?
Cleverly merging promotions.
I love it.
Cross-referencing travel sites. And booking all your flights with those...
Vouchers. I got us bumped.
They were like, oh. But now they're like... Aloha. You aced this vacation. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant.
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
If you want to stay in the know about the latest happenings in Español, check out Diálogo Abierto, BronxNet's own Spanish show, Wednesdays, 6:30 p.m. on Channel 67. The latest in news, arts, culture, politics, and what's going on in your neighborhood. Diálogo Abierto, the best way to stay connected in Spanish. See you there. Te esperamos.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund breeding.
No.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
And welcome back. If you're planning to go back to school and earn a graduate degree, don't be afraid to enter the business world. We're going to tell you about a program to earn your MBA in just 1 year. Joining us now is Michael Zarrilli, who's the Senior Director of Graduate Admissions and Recruitment at Mercy College. And Mike, good to have you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Welcome back. Listen, usually when we talk about MBAs, people always fear like it's going to take us a long time to do it. But now with Mercy College, there is this program that you can do this MBA in 1 year. So give us a little bit about it.
Yeah, sure. So we make it very easy for folks who are busy working professionals to acquire their MBA in a year. And you don't have to have any specific background in business. A lot of non-traditional folks come to learn the art of business administration, marketing, and they combine their unique skills that they already have with the business degree. So for instance, we have some folks in the medical profession who want to get into the business side of it, and they get their degree and they merge it with their experience, and they really become very competitive in the marketplace. We have other folks that just come as career changers, like myself personally, and they want to learn business in order to expand their opportunities. And we have a very robust program. It's hands-on training, real executives that teach all of the courses, and we take the students through a series of different modules in the beginning called Turbo, which prepares them with the fundamentals for their business success and their degree.
Give us a little bit about how it's progressed down through the years, because we've had you on before, right?
Yes.
And we've talked about the program, but honestly, you've seen tremendous success in the time that you've put this forward.
Yeah, the program has completed over 1,000 students coming through Turbo since 2012. We're really excited because we bring business to the community, especially in the Bronx. We're having 2 sessions coming up next year, one in April and one in June. And before that, there was really no other program other than in Manhattan. So we're really happy to bring it to the folks in the community here in the Bronx. We actually are expanding our Manhattan campus as well, but we're never going to take our eye off of the Bronx community because we love serving the community here.
And when you talk about serving the community, you're doing something very special with people who are serving our community, not just our community, but the whole city. There is an exclusive partnership that you have with the New York City Police Department. And give us a little bit about the partnership with the police department, because I know there's some tuition help out involved with that too.
Yes, we're very proud to announce that we work with the NYPD now. We're offering tuition discounts to their employees of up to 30% off the cost of tuition. And this partnership started with the need for development within the NYPD in order to help the folks there and their members of service really take their career to the next level. So we're going to start with the Bronx area and the communication center and talk to folks there about how they can excel not only from the civilian standpoint, but then get into the NYPD as a sworn officer. And that's something we're really excited about.
Yeah, that's a tremendous partnership. I mean, I think New York City Police Department always looking for more people, but then also to have the partnership of education. And a lot of times you can't because your job, the overtime, this, that, and third. But you know, to have that going is a tremendous thing. So 1 year on the MBA side, right? And so for a student who's looking and saying, I just heard about this, I'm watching this on TV right now. What's the requirements for going forward in the MBA program?
The requirements right now, and it's been very, very easy to acquire your MBA through Mercy. Traditionally, it was very complicated in other schools, and why we really differentiate ourselves is because we make it very easy for folks to get their degree. You have to have a college undergraduate degree, of course, to get a master's degree, but there's no GMATs that are required. They're optional. And we also cater to the non-traditional business student. And our courses are flexible. They're at night, 6:30 to 9:30. Some of them are online. They can take courses in the Bronx, Manhattan, or Dobbs Ferry. So wherever you are maybe working in the area, you can go right after work and get into a class usually from 6:30 to 9:30, which is fantastic for those who are working and busy and they have families. And I'm sure that folks who want to get their degree will have no excuse if they come to Mercy College.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's almost the end of one semester right now. Get ready to start the new semester, right? So
yes, registration is open for the spring of 2019, and folks can contact the Bronx campus, 1-877-MERCY-GO, and they can make an appointment, and we make it very easy. A lot of our students are first-time college students, so we really take them through the process from the beginning with requirements, financial assistance, any kind of information they need. It's a very, very precise process that we have. And in fact, we're having an information session for the undergraduate programs this Saturday in the morning from 10 to 1 p.m. So it's in the Bronx, it's in Manhattan, and it's in Dobbs Ferry. And if you're interested in an undergraduate degree or a graduate degree, come on down.
And somebody's out there watching saying about in class versus online. How much do you have to be in class versus online? You can take classes online as well for MBA?
Yes, the MBA program is offered online. We have also our organizational leadership masters, folks who want to get into the leadership track, and we have our HRM, which is human resources management. Those are entirely online. The MBA is partially online, and I would say about 40% of the program can be done online.
All right. And give us a little bit about the Turbo program.
Yes, I am a proud Turbo alumni. I went to Turbo in 2014, and it was a great experience. I was very nervous in the beginning, but the faculty there made it very simple for me to learn the fundamentals. They really dedicated a lot of time to my learning individually, and that's what I loved about Mercy, and that's why I'm proud to work here, and I'm very blessed that I have the opportunity to be here. But Mercy gives the community everything they need to develop the tools for success. And one of the missions of Mercy is really to make education affordable and accessible to everybody, not just a certain income level, not just a certain education level. And that's why I think I am really proud to be here.
Well, Mike, good to have you here, and thank you for coming and sharing with us a little bit about the program and all the great work that's going on at Mercy and the MBA program. And if I don't see it, Happy holidays.
You too. Happy holidays.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. And listen, got to thank you guys too, because guess what? We've come to the end of our show today. Want to thank all of our guests for joining us, but most of all, want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the Recablecast at 5 and 10 p.m. on Optimum's Channel 67, Verizon Fios, Channel 33, or watch us anytime on the web at Bronx.org. Special shout out to all of those who are watching on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is broadcast live simultaneously. I know my sister Ann watches all the time, so I'm going to say hello to Ann. I'll be home sometime later on today. Talk to you later on. Listen, for all of us here at the set of Open, Daren, Jaime say take care. God bless. We'll talk to you soon.
To, like save more money.
8-year-old Joshua Singh here with his family took part in a community empowerment education fair here at the Bronx School for Law, Government, and Justice, hosted by MasterCard, called Master Your Card. Mercedes Garcia is the Vice President of Community Relations.
In partnership with the New York City Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and FIPS Neighborhoods, a great organization local here in the Bronx, we are bringing families together to learn more about the tools available for them to manage their money better.
Bronx-based small business salsa caterers added to the festivities, serving up Latin cuisine at the event that's aimed at strengthening the futures of the residents they serve. Director of Operations for the New York Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Suma Arzu-Brown, says it's about equipping the community with the tools designed to help them overcome financial obstacles.
I know that in our community sometimes we tend to be afraid of money because we think money wants to harm us, but at the same time, money is there to help us. So today we're going to find out how we can kind of change that dynamic in our relationship with money.
Like technology, payments technology. We're going to have great organizations talking about credit history, how to build your credit.
In a panel discussion, experts gathered there talked about strategies to pay off debt and build credit. Among those there, FIPS Neighborhoods. Jonathan Ortiz from the community is the director.
We have different programs that are aimed at the youth. We have programs that are aimed at young adults that need careers. And we have my part, which is community resources, having the resources necessary for our adults to rise above poverty as well.
Also from the neighborhood, Joseph Edmondson, a certified financial planner who volunteers with worldofmoney.org, a non-for-profit providing financial workshops for kids on investing and saving.
This is a community that's considered to be one of the poorest in the nation, and to come out today and be able to get this information about the importance of being smart with your money, I think it was a thing that a lot of people are going to walk away from and start to be able to exercise these skills they've learned today right away.
I'm psyched right now. I didn't expect me to win out of like 50 other people, 50 plus people. It was crazy. It's amazing.
That's raffle winner Justin Hines, who held a prize-winning ticket for a $250 MasterCard.
This is my family from PA. I used to go to Fresh Air Fund when I was 5.
Another raffle winner was Anna Mary Martin from Pennsylvania, visiting Michelle Sampson here from the Bronx.
She won and she was so excited, and she gifted the World of Money scholarship to my niece who wanted to go. So I can't be more than blessed.
To learn about budgeting and like financial aid, financial literacy at a young age, it really opens up my mind for me to save money and for me to help my future kids not be in debt.
So I asked Justin Hines what he's going to do with his $250 gift card. He said it's going into his savings. For BronxNet, this is Arlen McCoco.